Thank you for tuning in to Macro View Television and welcome to a brand new edition of Taiwan Outlook, the program that presents the people and the stories on Taiwan. I'm your host, Ray Guo. What is fair trade? And since generally fair trade product prices are a little more expensive, what is the reaction among consumers over fair trade? We're going to find out on today's program because we are delighted to have Miss Elizabeth Tsai, who's the founder of Twine Fair Trade Organization, to be our special guest on the program today. Welcome to the program, Elizabeth.
Hello, Raymond, and hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Tsai, and I'm happy to be here in the program today.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the program, Elizabeth. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, we know that your family emigrated to New Zealand when you were in high school.
Yes.
And then subsequently you finished your high school and also your college education in New Zealand. And you study architecture.
Yes.
And which is a very impressive resume for anybody. And you were working at one time in Shanghai as an architect. Yeah. And tell us a little bit about the education experiences and also the experience of working in Shanghai as an architect. Please.
Well, in Shanghai, we're working for architect called Banggood Studio. Okay. And I think from my boss at the time that I know more about something issue about the environmental friendly. Okay. And it's actually the chance that we open our shop with our colleagues at work. Right. So we use that as just like something for fun. So we spend our free time after work to make some handicrafts and making some clothes to sell in the shop. Okay. And that's how I start to know about handicrafts.
Okay.
Yes.
But Elizabeth, let me ask you, a lot of people will say that, Elizabeth, you graduated from University of Auckland, which is one of the top universities in New Zealand. And you're studying architecture. Yes. And you were working as an architect in Shanghai. Well, that's a very comfortable, position for anybody to be in. Why did you decide to leave your own comfort zone and start, doing more on fair trade and set up your own store back in Taiwan in 2011? Please. Because
of the shop, we opened in Shanghai, so we know about handicrafts. Okay. And then we have the opportunity that someone invited us to participate in some of the eco-design fair in Shanghai. Right. And then just after a few times of the experience of the exhibitions, we found the result is actually quite good.
Good.
So at that time...
What did you make? May I ask? What did you make?
We made some of the felt products.
Okay.
Yeah. And because felt products at that time in Shanghai was not...
It was new.
Yeah, they're quite new products. Okay. So people were very interested in that kind of products. Good. And so after we trying a few times exhibitions in Shanghai, and we feel maybe it's a chance for us to open our business. Okay.
Yes. To start something more permanent.
Yes. Right. So we didn't think too much. We just quit our job and moved back to Taiwan to start our first shops.
All right. But let me ask you, looking back in the last, 4 to 5 years, since you set up your first shop, were there any regrets? Because Elizabeth, you may say to yourself, hey, probably I should have stayed on with that job in Shanghai. I could have made, probably a lot more money. And then there's not going to be as much demand on my time and my effort. Did you ever regret?
I don't think I have time. I don't think I have time to regret that because when you set up your business, you need lots of concentration on it. Okay. And in some part, I was quite enjoy for what I'm doing because for the products development is quite different from architecture. Of course. Architecture it takes really long time and it's a lot of people involved in the job. So you don't really see the outcome within a short time. It probably takes about 2 or 3 years in order to build a new building. Exactly. But for product design, it needs to be very, very fast. Yeah. So you can see your baby, your products in every 3 months or or maybe in a month's time. Okay. Yes.
And let me ask you, a lot of people have heard of the concept of fair trade, but what is fair trade? Can you give us a more definitive, definition for what fair trade is? Please.
It's actually one of a very tough question because the more you understand about fair trade, it's actually quite complicated to explain that in the very short sentence. But basically, people understand fair trade about being fair to the producers, giving fair wages or even a living wages, which is above the minimum wage of the country. And besides that, there's also lots of issues you need to address, such as the environmental issues, and also you need to take concern for the child labor issues. And also in those countries that we work with, they are the poor producers in the remote areas. That we give more opportunity to those poor producers, and also you need to give more opportunity to the women of those areas as well.
All right. But a lot of people would say fair trade is a concept that's been around mostly in European and more advanced economies. And let me ask you, this is something fairly new in Taiwan, maybe just in the last few years. But why are you inspired or motivated to promote fair trade in Taiwan? Do you see some, in terms of product distribution, do you see some, people taking advantage of the producers?
I think we start to aware of the fair trades from the material we use at first, when we were still making our own products by our hands. And then we heard about fair trade. And so the more we studied, we know that most of the time you buy the products, you maybe know where the product is from, but you don't give lots of information about who is making the products. And also if the people making products get a good condition of working and also get well paid. Yes, so then we think that's the concept that we need to address in our production.
And so far in the last 4 to 5 years, what's been the general response from the people in Taiwan over fair trade, in your experience?
When we start our business, we didn't start as a fair trade company. No, we started as like a design, handicrafts, and we promote for the eco-friendly products. And then we know about fair trade. And at that time, it's about 4 years ago when we start working on fair trade. And not lots of people knows about fair trade in Taiwan. But gradually, like after 4 years, there are more and more people knows about it.
Of course. And let me ask you, what is the reaction towards fair trade products if people, consumers, generally learn that this is a little more expensive than what I normally pay? What is your answer to that?
I have to admit that they are not cheap products. But I think the cost of the, whether it's expensive or not, is depending on what you compare with, and also how that is going to be made. So if you compare something that's totally handmade to something that's machine-made, then the price will be different.
Of course.
And also, it's depending on the material you use. If you use like organic fabrics, that would be more expensive than you use like a cheap fabric that may be toxic or harmful for your body. Yes.
All right. And let's talk a little bit about your business. All right. This is Twine Fair Trade Organization. What is the concept and the design behind Twine?
When we set our business, we are more about eco-friendly. So now we are more moving towards to be fair trade. And when we design our products, we normally put lots of Taiwanese element into it. And sometimes we change the products, the existing products, to modify into suit our market. So I think in this way we are letting that more people know about the Taiwanese culture.
And I was shocked before taping started when you told me that over the last 4 years you have already expanded into 8 stores all over Taiwan, mostly in northern parts of the island, of course, but you also have 2 stores outside of Taipei. Please.
The 2 stores outside Taipei is actually our new experience this year.
And one in Hualien.
And one in Kaohsiung.
And what's the reaction from people over fair trade in those places, because they are not, as metropolitan as Taipei is?
I think because our concept is not give our customer the fair trade at the first place, because that maybe give them more pressure that they think they need to, spend money to helping people. So we are more focused on providing like a good design and good quality of the products. So I think maybe in this way that the other parts of Taiwan, they also, besides Taipei, they also have quite good response for the products.
All right. I understand that in your stores, you not only sell handicraft goods, but there are others as well. So subsequently, how many different other fair trade organizations all over the world and other countries that you have been in touch with in terms of procuring products into your stores?
When we set up the business, we only start with 2 organizations. But now we have about 50 to 60. I never really count them. Organizations that we work with.
Tremendous growth. Yes.
And over about 24 countries.
Yes. And so some of these places that you need to travel there sometimes.
We try to within our budgets, but it's sure that every year we will travel to India, Nepal, and Bangladesh.
Let's talk a little more in this part of the program about the kinds of products that you sell. We'll understand, like you said, when you first started off, that you were selling handicraft, products. Nowadays, you're too busy, to run the different stores. You probably don't have the time to make them. But would you think that the handicraft products that are sold in Twine stores are a way for people, consumers, whether it's domestic or foreign, to understand Taiwan better through a different cultural perspective? What do you think?
When we're doing our designs, we will use as much Taiwan's element into it as possible, such as we may use the Taiwanese bear for the image, or our Formosa cedar deer. And I think in a way that people want to, I think for foreigners, they want to buy something about Taiwan, and that's probably a choice for them. Yes.
All right. And do they ever come up to you, say, hey, Ms. Tsai, would you tell us what are the stories behind this particular product? Stories behind a bear, Taiwan black bear, or other things that, may be available in your stores?
Yes, they'll ask about what that is. And I think we are more concentrated about telling our customer about those traditional techniques which are involved in the production. So we will give the information about what's the material of the products and also how those producers are making them. Yes.
Let me ask you, some of these producers, where do you find them around Taiwan? Do you travel to some of the villages that are well known for handicraft products, or how do you know about these producers?
We don't have the production in Taiwan at the moment because for Taiwan, the living wages is above the wages like US $2, which is like a poor level of the the global
standard.
Standard. So for Taiwan, we are more above of that. So fair trade now at the moment is more to support the, like we call it like a third countries. Yes.
So that's why you travel to places like India, Bangladesh, and other places. Every year. And also, let me ask you, fair trade is a new concept, like you said earlier in the program. Then what are some of the difficulties and challenges that you have faced in developing fair trade and also developing the concept of twine to consumers?
I think the most problem would be like people knows about fair trade coffee, but they don't know fair trade also have other products as well. So we also always have the customer come to the shop and they are wondering why we call those products fair trade. And also because there are lots of involvement in the traditional techniques, and those techniques are not very well known in the modern world. So we need to give enough information to our customer for like how they actually doing the hand weaving or the such kind of techniques. And also, as what I have said before, that to explain fair trade in a few words is very difficult. As much as you understand it. So we have to like provide information next to the products to tell about the story of the products. And also we need to give some, that people don't really read anymore. They like to see images. So we will put like the 10 principles of fair trade into some image icons, or we give some illustration about how the traditional technique progress is, and also some images of the producers making the products.
All right.
Yes.
All right. And people are probably going to ask you also that, Ms. Tsai, how are you sure that your products are certified eco-friendly? Do you have some, support to prove that this product is eco-friendly and it's based on fair trade principles?
We don't really have. Some of the products do have the organization, like organic certifications. And basically, our company is like a certified organization. We are under the WFTO, the World Fair Trade Organization, certified.
That's very good.
And this year we also get like a guarantee system, which means that in the old days that you are not allowed to put like the fair trade label onto your products. But because we want to promote the fair trade more, so from this year, WFTO start to, giving the certification that you will be able to put like a fair trade logo onto your products. So that in the shop you can see those products that with the logos on it to show that they are fair trade.
All right. And Elizabeth, the question that keeps coming to mind is that people are, going to come up to you in the store and say that, why do I need to pay 10, 15, 20% more for the products that I could get in normal supermarket, that much less? How do you convince the consumers not only, that they, like the products, but fair trade is also the right principle for the world to obey and then also adhere to in the future? How do you convince them?
I think because nowadays we have heard lots of problem of like the food disasters, which has happened to Taiwan in the recent years.
Last year, yes.
And we also discovered that many of the productions of the products, they are actually either unethical or they have some, harmful materials that's used for our daily products. So I think more and more customers, they are aware of like being fair trade and eco-friendly is quite important. And I think many of them come to our store, they actually cares about that. And they will want to know more information about the history or the story about those products as well. Yes.
Let me ask you, what is the prototypical customer that will come to your store and shop? Are they younger or middle age or a little older? That means 60 or 65 and above. Or people that are, higher educated, college graduate, or are they generally the same, irrespective of education level? What is the, prototypical customer profile that you can tell us?
It actually have very wide range of people. But I think most of the time they may be aware of the eco-friendly issues or fair trade. And the age is, I think, around like maybe 20 to 40 years. That kind of age is like the majorities. And maybe because our products, so it's more women, our customer than the male.
All right. But, over the last 4 years, Elizabeth, you have done very well, and then you have expanded your business now to 8 stores all around Taiwan. And that must be, at least 2 things. First, more and more people, consumers in Taiwan, are now accepting the idea of fair trade and fair trade products, even though they're a little more expensive. And secondly, is that you have done well in terms of, lining up, in your stores, the kinds of products that the local customers would like. And how did you do it? Transforming yourself in the span of just a few years from being an architect all the way to a fairly successful business person. How do you do it?
I don't think we are that successful. I think we still have lots of things we need to improve. But I think to set up your business, you need to spend lots of time on it,
of
or
course.
if you are rich, then you can spend lots of money on marketing.
Okay.
But we are not rich. We start with a very small company, so what we do is we spend like lots of time, lots of effort onto making our products, and also I think communication is actually like a main task to us, because for us or for those producers, English is like not our natural language.
No.
So we have to communicate with each other and making a product. So it's lots of like experience for us to to come to the stage that we both understand each other when we're developing a new products.
All right. What do you think is necessary, not just for Twine, but for other fair trade stores or businesses in Taiwan to get to the next level? Do we need, more public awareness about fair trade? Maybe with more additional government support, maybe more support from media organizations or programs, like Taiwan Outlook, to promote the concept and promote the kinds of products and business that you and your partner have, about fair trade in Taiwan. What do you think?
I think fair trade, the concept has been in Europe for like 60 years, but for Taiwan it's only like the recent 10 years time. So most of the readable like articles or books is all written in English and not very much in our local language. So I think it's the process of accumulating those kinds of documents and information into our local language. So maybe in the universities that more students they can understand about it, and more people they want to get involved in this business, they can also understand what that is. And I also think it would be good to have like a association or something. They can gather all the information of those kind of World Fair Trade certification, those kind of information to the Taiwan, if someone interested in getting involved with it.
All right. Let me ask you, Elizabeth, you're probably one of the earlier pioneers to promote the concept of fair trade and products in Taiwan. Have you ever been invited to speak on campuses around Taiwan, maybe talk to college students who are interested in fair trade, or talking to business organizations about the importance of fair trade? Has that happened before, or is it something that you would like to see more people, not just yourself, getting involved in terms of promoting fair trade in Taiwan?
Yes, we do share our experience to universities, schools, or sometimes organizations.
Terrific.
Yeah, frequently.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, and if someone who is interested in this business, that we would like to share what we know about it to them.
Okay.
But I mean, for the fair trade certificate bodies, they are about, from I know, would be about like 8 to 9 different kind of certifications, and some are for food, some are for handicrafts. So for this, we can share about our know about WTO certifications and how we run in the business under WTOs. Yeah, but like for other experience that we may not have that much information.
So we'll probably need a platform. All the people who are interested in fair trade, whether it's already in the business or just simply being a consumer, to get involved and exchange information and experiences.
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Okay. Elizabeth, we're talking about fair trade and the fair trade products. And one thing that attracts a lot of people is the transparency involved in fair trade. Then, like you mentioned earlier in the program, you can learn about where it was produced, what kind of materials were put into it, who produced them, and things. Do you think the transparency concept in fair trade has really helped a lot more people, consumers, to accept fair trade as the most equitable trade, that people can achieve? What do you think?
Yes, I think in some parts that actually attracts some people because for our products, when we purchase from our producers, we can request them to give us our cost breakdown. So we will be sure that the price that, how to set up it, it actually, how much goes to the producers, and how much goes to the materials, and how much goes to those fair trade organizations. And like we need to provide our annual report to the public and also for our producers as well. Good. So from the report, they can see how much percentage of the cost of the products goes to the producers. Also, they can see those informations.
All right. Do you think this concept of transparency, especially in fair trade, is actually going to be able to boost the economic activities, not only for fair trade products, but also for the economy as a whole? Because if more and more people started to accept the notion of fair trade, then we will have more people paying attention to where the product or how the product is made, what kind of materials went into it, is it eco-friendly, is it a fair amount of the price is going to the producers, to the wage earners, and not for unreasonable products for the middleman. Do you think something like the fair trade concept is actually a big boost to the overall economy? What do you think?
I don't know so much about economics.
It's
not my specialties. Yeah. But I think more or less it's a small growing market to fair trade. Right. And because we actually know so much about the problems of the free trade system currently in the world. So people will start to know about that to preventing buying products from like swept shops or something that's produced by some materials that's harmful for your body.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And do you think that by having more transparency in products made is actually going to help, in terms of more and more producers in the future may be willing to get involved in the production process, and more consumers, not just in Taiwan, but all over the world, will be more interested and inclined to buy fair trade products because they think this is a fairly traded products, and the profits goes to all the people who are involved in the production process. So do you think the fair trade market will eventually expand as more and more people begun to accept the notion of fair trade?
Yes, I think that if more and more people knows about it, then I think there'll be more and more people probably want to go and involve into it. But I think customer actually plays quite an important role into it, because if the customers start to aware the importance of it, and they actually request it and force the brand they buy to putting more attention onto like giving a fair wages to the producers, or setting up good condition of working for the producers, and also use the eco-friendly materials, then I think by the time when we don't need to say about fair trade, that means that we have been make a big change in the world.
Good, yes. And since, Elizabeth, we are in a capitalistic open market economy, and one thing that people really care about, no matter in Taiwan or other parts of the free economy around the world, is the fact of some of the producers may be taken advantage of. All right, there's could be exploitation, people taking unreasonable amount of profits away from the producers, and the producers themselves oftentimes in underdeveloped or developing economies are still getting paid below minimum wages there. So in a sense, do you think fair trade, if we continue to promote it, and not just in Taiwan but all over the world, will it be able to help prevent some of the negatives of market economy that we have seen throughout history?
Yes, certainly. I think that will help. Like if we know about more of those stories behind the product, how the product is made, and also if we know the importance of when you're buying the products, it's not only you feel the product's cheap for you to be affordable, but also if the product actually affect a person or the family in another world. Yeah, I think that's something people start to aware of that. Right. And by more and more people aware of that, then it actually can change the environment.
Okay. And Elizabeth, you mentioned earlier that you travel every year to some of the places like India and Bangladesh, to buy some of the products for your stores. And are there any stories that you could share with us, throughout these travels in different parts of the world, mostly in the developing parts of the world? Anything?
There are lots of stories.
Okay, maybe just one or two. We only have about 5 minutes.
Okay. I think most of the time we are very impressed with how they use, like very simple tools to produce the products. Okay. And many of the traditional techniques that we see, like for example, I see people doing hand weaving lots of times during my the 4 years travel. Okay. And I just come back from Bangladesh 2 days ago. Oh, okay. And this time we actually trying to do the weaving ourselves. Oh, really? And we found it's actually quite difficult.
Yes, I can imagine.
It looks so simple on them, but it's actually very difficult that you have to, coordinate your body with the hand loom machine. Okay. Yeah. So I think the more you actually try and experience that, then you will be more appreciative for what they're actually doing. Yes.
All right. And I think originally, the concept of fair trade and also the free economy, market economy, is the sense that none of the participants in the production process will be taken advantage of. There will be no exploitation. People will get paid for their amount of contribution in the production process, but it doesn't happen in real world. There's of course a lot of negatives, low wages, unreasonable products for some of the middlemen, and then we don't really have that ideal platform where the products are fairly traded and people who are fairly compensated for the amount of contribution that they had in the production process. And what can we do, Elizabeth? For those of us in media, for people who are watching our program as a general public, what can we do all together, collectively, to try to help, to prevent some of the negatives, some of the bad aspects of the, exploitation that we have heard and seen for so many years?
Well, I think that if we as a customer, that as what I said before, that you can make a choice yourself. Okay. Right. And I think customers has to understand that they are also playing an important role in this chain. So if you say no to the products they are made from like a sweatshop or from some factories or some enterprise, they are just seeking for getting a big profit, but they don't take care of their, people working for them. Yes. And I think it's also important for a customer, they are aware of the importance of that, and they can make a choice whether you're supporting that or not. Okay. And if you're supporting for fair trade or something that is, taking care of those producers and taking care for the environment, then, gradually the big enterprise, they know that, there should be change, or there's some change they need to do to, make the customer trying to, feel happy about it.
Exactly. Yes. And over the last, 3 to 4 years since coming back to Taiwan, do you think the market for fair trade products in Taiwan has really expanded? There are now more and more people interested in coming to your stores frequently, regularly, to look for the products that they like, and they're going to be very comfortable with buying products at your stores because they know these products are produced and traded fairly. So do you think the market in Taiwan is expanding?
Well, I think gradually it's expanding.
Yeah.
But
not very fast.
Not very fast, but it's expanding. Okay. Yeah. But of course that For a fair trade product, because they are handmade. Okay. So you need to be, sometimes it's very different from the normal products you buy in the normal market.
Of course.
So sometimes you need to understand that, how to take care of those products.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you tell us how tough or how easy is it for you to build that type of working relationship that's based on mutual trust? Because they need to trust you, Ms. Elizabeth. They need to know that if they sell you their products, that you're not going to take advantage of them, and you're going to sell in the marketplace at a fair price. So how do you build that trust with the producers that you have, met and build a relationship around the world?
Also, because we are a WFTO certified organization,
okay.
So being a certified organization, that means we are not only fair to the producer, but also need to be fair to our customers.
Yes.
So we have the duty that we need to let our producers know our end selling price.
Okay.
So I think that's why we making our catalogs. We are not really big company to make a big catalog.
Right.
Yeah. So for the catalog, it's actually we will give to our producers every year. So they can actually check the end price we are selling in the market,
okay.
And they would, they will judge whether they think it's a fair price as well. Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you, when you meet some of these producers for the very first time, in a foreign country, then do people usually respond with a lot of skepticism? They don't know you. You're meeting them for the first time. And you give us, catalogs, but, you may not follow them, right? When you get back to your home country, you may sell the products at very different prices than what you told them. How do you overcome them?
I think because we are, the producers we work with are normally fair trade certified as well, and
okay.
We are fair trade certified. So under this system that we basically trust each other, that we are sure that in order to get this certification, you must have provided that enough information, and you must provide that you are a trustable person as well.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, we just
so
have to
far
trust
so
each
good.
other.
Yes. Yes. All right. Let me ask you, any experience in the last 4 years that you felt that the relationship was not getting to the point where you think that they should be? For example, maybe some of the products may not be shipped to Taiwan in time. And then, or some of the, transfer payment that you made may not get there in time. Has that ever happened? Has that ever undermined some of the relationship that you had?
Yes, there are lots of experience, of course.
Okay, all right.
Because for people that handmade the products, there are lots of situations that the products can be delayed,
yes.
Which, sometimes because the weather problem,
yeah.
Like if there's a rainy season, then you don't get the fabric to produce on time.
Okay.
And also sometimes it's the raw material, maybe they are, shortage of
yeah.
the raw materials.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe sometimes because those producers, they are living in the villages, and for some season they need to do their agricultural work.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes when they are busy on the agriculture, then
yes.
They don't have time to do your handicrafts.
Okay.
So we have this kind of experience as well. And what we do is we try to let different products come into different time.
Okay.
So we make sure that if the products has been delayed, then maybe other products will come
available.
On time.
Yes. All right. Yes. So you have to have some latitude in terms of the products that you get. All right. And you mentioned earlier that Elizabeth, the prototypical profile of a customer that come into your stores are generally in between the age of 25 to about 40. Mm-hmm. And what is important in promotion of fair trade in Taiwan is that you have younger people, younger generations, people 25 under, to accept the notion of fair trade at a very early age. And based on your experience in the last 5 years, how can we, promote fair trade among the younger generations in Taiwan? Please.
I think actually the young people nowadays, they are more aware of the justice themselves.
Okay. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, so I think basically they quite support this idea. Yeah, but just like maybe, you know, I have said that the prices of fair trade is not like a cheap product. No. So sometimes they have the budget of like buying something. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we try to make more available of different range of the products that sometimes we develop the products, they are, you know, like more cost down, so that for young people, if they want to buy a present for their friends, they may have the choice of purchasing them, so they can be a part of supporting fair trade.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And has there been some questions from the younger generations, you know, that really stood out in your minds? For example, you know, they will come up to you and say, "Hey, Ms. Tsai, we'd like to buy the product, but we're students. You know, we have limited, you know, allowance, or, you know, we only work part-time. We can't afford something a little more expensive." And how do you then, you know, relate to them, you know, when they come up with questions like this? You know, they, you know, could say that, you know, we could buy the same products or similar products, you know, other places much cheaper, you know. And when you tell them about the concept of fair trade, what is their response?
Yes, there are some students, but they don't really respond to you in the show. Okay. But I think that, of course, we'll explain to them why the cost is like that. And also, when you're buying the cheap products, maybe like a cheap handicrafts, there will be issue of the child labor involving it as well. So I think most of the students, they understand. And also, I've said before that we have different prices of the products, so they can actually choose something that is not so expensive, they are more available, and then they can afford it. So.
All right. And over the last 4 years, you know, Elizabeth, you have done very well, starting with 1 store, now you have 8. What is the next step for Twine? Okay, are you looking to expand more, and are you looking to have more local producers? You know, maybe, you know, have their products, you know, sold in your stores? What's on the agenda?
We don't really set up like 3 years or 5 years ago.
Yes.
We normally go with the flow. If there's any opportunities, then we will, you know, give it a try. Okay. So, but for the future, I think for the next few years, we will be targeting at making ourselves like more managed, like in the intern management parts, and also that we will want to focusing on making all of our textile products to make with the organic fabrics.
Okay,
yes.
All right. And for you personally, you know, in the last few years, you have already transformed yourself once from being an architect in Shanghai, now being a business owner in Taiwan. What's on the, you know, horizon for you personally? What do you expect to achieve next? I'm asking for a 5-year plan.
5 years. Okay. I think, of course, that I think we will want to be a part that letting more people understand about fair trade. Okay. And of course, that maybe we can provide like more interaction of the customers to the producers. Okay. So that if we have the budget, that we may invite the producers to Taiwan, and they can share their experience, or as having a class that they can share what their skills is to the customers. Right. So, you know, it's kind of like a chance for them to interact with each other. Yes.
All right. And Elizabeth, I'm going to ask you next a question more on the grand scale. You know, in the sense that, you know, not many people will expect that fair trade concept in Taiwan has expanded as it did in the last few years. Like you said, it's been in Europe over 60 years, and it's fairly new in Taiwan, maybe only within the, you know, the last 10 years. And you have been involved in the fair trade business for about, you know, 4 or 5 years. And you're not doing this. You know, I don't think anybody who watch our program today would think that Elizabeth is doing this for profits only. All right? There got to be something grander, you know, bigger. You know, maybe, for example, based on the concept of fair trade and being the fair trade community around the world, that in the process that you can also promote Taiwan, let people know that the consumers, and also some of the, business owners like yourself are also aware and supportive of fair trade concept. We're not just, a country that produces, computers or, mobile communication products, but we're also concerned about the concept of fair trade. Do you think that this is also part of the reason or the motivation for you to be involved along with your partner, in the fair trade business 4 years ago?
I think within our budgets that we will try to participate in the global conference under like fair trade movement. Right. So by attending those conferences, we are not only like meeting more people around the world that are interested in this movement, but we also make sure that Taiwan is part of it, and like sometimes we share our experience, so then more and more people knows about that. Taiwan is also like a market for fair trade, and the Taiwanese people, they are also interested in fair trade movement as well.
All right, good. Certainly being a pleasure to have you on the program today, Elizabeth. I want to wish you and your partner all the best in your future personal and professional endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching our program today. I'll see you next time on MacroView Television. Thank you.